important thing to know about piano. Super great instrument for figuring stuff out in music, yeah? Because all of our notes are right here, and they're really easy to figure out. Now, so the note to always start off with on piano is C, okay? The reason you start off with C is because it's the easiest one to remember, because C is always to the left of the two black keys, right? So you'll always find C to the left of these two black keys. So you've got C there, C there. Can you hear how they're all the same? But they're just all at different octaves. So they're just this C is this C, and that's a C. It's just that some of them are higher than the other ones, okay? So now that we know that, all we have to do is the alphabet, okay? So we're gonna go C to C here, okay? So what we're basically gonna do is we're gonna do the alphabet. When we reach the letter G, we just go back to the beginning and go to an A, okay? Because in music, the only letters we have are from A to G, okay? So we're starting with the C here. So we're gonna go C, D, E, F, G, A, B, and C again, okay? And then if we go back down, C, B, A, G, F, E, D, C, okay? Now, that's a really handy thing to be able to do because then we've got all of our notes, okay? Now, I bet you're probably wondering what all of these black notes are in between, right? So these are sharp and flat notes, okay? So these are like the notes in between all the ones we just had, okay? So we've got a C, and then between that, we have a C sharp, okay? But we also have a different name for this note. We also call it D flat, yeah? Okay? So if we're going up to it from the C, it would be a sharpened note. Whereas if we go down from it from the D, it becomes a flattened note, okay? Important distinction, okay? So same thing with this one here. If we have a D and an E, okay? If we're going up from the D, that would be a D sharp. If we're going down from the E, it would be an E flat, all right? Just a little important thing to know the difference of, okay? Now, when we were looking before at these set of notes that we were doing, so C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, okay? That is what we call a major scale, okay? If you looked at some of the theory videos I did earlier, we had a little talk about this, but this is what it sounds like, okay? Easiest way to know what it sounds like is, have you ever heard Do, a deer, a female deer? The like Sound of Music song, okay? So, Do, a deer, a female deer, ray of black of golden sun, and all that. I'm not gonna sing it all to you because I'd make your ears bleed, but it's that. So it's Do, Do, Re, Mi, So, Fa, La, Ti, Do, and then back down as well, okay? Important to know what that sounds like. You'll hear major scales in everything, okay? Similarly, if we do, when we were looking at our scales and how we make up chords from the scales, remembering that chords are when we play more than one note at the same time, okay? This is another way that we know how to do that. So we have C, our first degree, 1, 2, 3. We know that our third degree is going to be the third, and that's going to be in our chord. And then 4, 5, 1, 3, 5. So that is a C major chord. You can also add a little on the end, make it pretty. But we'll worry about that in a little bit. So yeah, that's kind of what our piano is and how we read it, okay? So just a few little questions to see if you can understand this, okay? So what note would this be, do we think? Okay? So see if you can figure what the note that is. Let's see what note this one will be. This one here, yeah. Okay. Now, important to remember, this won't be a C because it is to the left of some black keys, but it's to the left of 3 black keys, not 2. Important distinction. Always remember it's 2, not 3, okay? All right, that's a really important distinction to make, okay? Now, we were talking about how notes, right, have sharps and flats between them, all of these black notes. Now, there are a few caveats to that rule, and it's one of them things where it's better to know where that doesn't make sense because it happens so unfrequently than where it does happen, okay? So, easiest way to remember this is there are two sets of notes which don't have sharps and flats in between them, okay? Them notes are E and F. So you see there isn't a black note between. So it's just E and F, all right? They don't have any sharp or flat between them. And then the other one is B and C, okay? Same thing, okay? Now, easy to do when you've got a piano in front of you because you can see that there aren't any black notes in between them. But when we're doing stuff without a piano, it becomes a little bit harder. So just always try and remember, B and C don't have flats and sharps in between them, and E and F don't, okay? That'll really help out. So, how we make up chords is we just play a note, then you skip a note, then you skip a note, and you get them. You get a chord. So this one, it's a major chord, it's C major, all right? If we go up one and D, and we do the same thing, skip that out, okay? That would be what we call a D minor chord, okay? So just have a quick listen there, okay? So minor chord here. I'll just quickly make it major so you can hear what that sounds like as well. Hear the difference? Major sounds way more positive, kind of happy, yeah? Major, happy. Minor, kind of sad, a little bit sinister, all right? And the only note that's changing is this one here, okay? So, just so you know, it's a little bit advanced, but this is basically your third note that you're playing, the third degree, I should say. So this is a third of the chord. It's basically either a minor third, or if you take it up a semitone, it becomes major, okay? Likewise, if we have our C here, that's a major chord. So if we flatten this, the third, it'll become minor. Hear that? All right, that's a helpful little tip as well. So let's carry on going. So we C, we do it like that. D, played like that, D minor. Then we have E minor, same thing. We play our E, which is here. We skip out that note, play this one, skip out that one, play that one. Okay. This is also minor. So we've got E minor there. Then we go up to F, and this will be a major chord. So skipping that one, skip that one. Look at that, major. Okay. Then we go up to G, also major. Okay. Then we go up to A, minor. And then finally we have a little tricky one here. We haven't actually talked about these yet. That is what we call, sorry, I've got my camera stand in the way. Don't play chords like this, but it'll do for the moment. So you see this is what we'd call a diminished chord. Now we haven't even talked about these yet, but you have diminished and augmented chords. And how that works is, remember we were talking about them thirds. So for instance, let's go back to C. So that is a major third, right? To get to a diminished chord, it's basically this minor third, and then you have another minor third stacked on top of that, all right? So it's minor third on top of minor third. Sounds real sinister, yeah? All right, and we can do that anywhere. I mean, you know. Yeah, it just sounds really sinister, all right? Likewise, I'll briefly tell you about augmented chords. Augmented chords are basically the opposite of diminished. So if diminished are minor thirds stacked on top of each other, then augmented chords are major thirds stacked on top of each other. So you go in, and then whoop, like that. Also sounds pretty garish. Kind of wants to go down to there, doesn't it? Yeah, or vice versa. That sort of thing, yeah. Just kind of, it wants to resolve somewhere, doesn't it? But this is a good thing to think about, because music is all made up of tension and release, okay? So these chords, which sound pretty horrible, make the chords after them sound infinitely nicer as well. Now this is an electric piano that I've got here. Do you hear how that tone has changed? Now this is a cool thing you can do with electric pianos, which is change the tone of them to make it sound however you want. You know, so you can go. Yeah, so that was like an organy sort of sound. So you can do that with all of them. So what I want you to do is try and get into your head what all of these notes are, remember? So what note is that? What note is that? What note is that? And then have a little experiment with the sounds that you've got on your keyboards as well. And then have a little look at doing them chords like I said before, okay? Super important that we learn how chords work and how they all go together. And this is just the first step of doing that, all right? So look up how to play some major chords, some minor chords. Maybe have a little Google of augmented and diminished ones as well, because they're a little bit trickier. But yeah, that's good stuff. This is a first little run on piano. We'll go into a few more things later on, but that's good stuff. All right, I'll see you next time. All right, toodaloo.